executive office. At the 2001 International Convention, he was elected as president of Toastmasters International worldwide. He continues to serve the organization as an active member in 4 clubs, an officer in 3 of these, and as a member of the district leaders around the world. The title of the presentation this evening, our #1 focus as a district. Please join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Alfred Herzog, past international president.
Thank you, Mr. District Director, Mr. President, fellow Toastmasters. I am excited to be here with you tonight. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join me. I will address the elephant in the room. I recognize that for you, I am an overseas Toastmaster and I have an accent. And you may have trouble understanding what I say. Also, the average person speaks about 100 words per minute. I speak about 140 with gusts up to 180. So if you don't understand something I'm saying, please interrupt me, okay? I want this to be a very interactive session. I'm going to be giving you a whole new way of thinking about things. It might be a completely different mindset for you. And so if you're not understanding what I'm saying, if it's not clicking, if you have questions, please, I want you to interrupt. Steve is going to be monitoring the chat, and chat is going to be our backup in case we don't, if you don't feel like you want to interrupt me, but you still want to ask a question, that is your backup. But I very much want this to be an interactive session. And let me now go ahead and share my screen, and let's see if we can get this here. And let me know if you are seeing this. Are you seeing my slides?
We can see you fine, Alfred. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. In Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he said that leaders climb to the top of the trees, look around, and shout down to the team below, "Wrong forest!" Whereupon the managers down below say, "Shut up, we're making great progress." Tonight, I'm going to, again, giving you a new way of thinking. You may determine you are in the wrong forest, and it might take you a day or 2 to really settle with this, and that's okay. But I want to talk to you about our #1 focus as a district. Well, let's start with a very basic question. Why are you here? This is a Sunday evening. It's time you could be spending with your family. And what are you doing? You're taking time out. You're getting in front of the screen yet again and participating in a meeting. I think the mission of Toastmasters International is a very powerful why. And why is very important to me. I'm going to spend a lot of time tonight on why. We empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Again, please unmute. Wouldn't you agree that is a very powerful reason why to be spending this time tonight? Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
If we look at the mission of the district, it's I've been very critical of the board over the years. Ted's aware of this when I feel like they've made some missteps. But when the board rewrote the mission of the district, I think they nailed it. The mission of the district is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. Now, when we say excellence in Toastmasters, there's really one word that describes excellence. What would that word be? What's the one word that describes excellence in Toastmasters? If you hear this word associated with a club, you know it's a good club. If you hear this associated with a district, you know this district is on target.
Distinguished?
Distinguished. Thank you. Thank you for whoever put that in, said that. Thank you. Distinguished. Exactly. Now, if a club is not distinguished, that doesn't mean, oh, this club should be disbanded. Let's all send these members to other clubs. No, 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 not in by any means. But it just means if you look at the Distinguished Club program and how we measure that, in one way or another, that club is not fully serving its members. All right. So the mission of the district is so super critical. We're going to spend a lot of time on that. Now, I don't know what the culture is in your district. Are speech contests a big deal in District 71? Steve's nodding his head yes. Again, I want you to unmute, speak. This is interactive. I want to hear from you guys.
Yes, very much so, Alfred. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, then let me ask you a question. Where is speech contest in the mission of the district? Do you see it in there?
No.
It's not in there. Would it be okay to share my story when I was an area director? It was a area governor at the time, but I use the current time. Would that be okay to share my story?
Please.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for permission. When the district met, all I heard from the district leaders was speech contest, speech contest, speech contest. That's all they talked about. It was very important, clearly, to them. And so when I had my area council meetings, we met to plan our area speech contest. Now, back in that day, there was a fall contest and a spring conference. Now there's only the spring conference contests. But back then we had two. So my area council met, we planned our fall speech contest. And ladies and gentlemen, we had an amazing event. We had 60 people in attend. We made $400 US profit through our opportunity drawing. We had amazing turnout. It was, by every measure, it was a success. And then we didn't meet again until it was time to plan our spring contest. And again, we had another amazing event. And at the end of the district year, the district was not distinguished. And that's when the light bulb came on to me. I said, wait a minute. We spent all this energy, time, and focus on something that wasn't even a critical success factor. You could have a member of your district, your club, win the area speech contest, the division, district, go on to be world champion. Does that make your club distinguished?
No.
Does that make your district distinguished?
No.
So part of my mindset twist for you tonight is to think about things a little differently, okay? We want to spend our time, your time is very limited in Toastmasters, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So wouldn't it make sense that we spend our time on the areas that we're going to get the maximum return on investment for that time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so speech contests are not there. Now I'm going to ask you a trick question, and Gerard, those of you that have gone through this exercise with me, you can't answer it, but without going to the TI website, I want you to answer for me roughly how many new members have joined your area or division, or if you're a district leader, how many have joined the district so far? By the way, is Brenda with us this evening?
Yes, I am, Alfred. How are you?
Okay, good to see you. Thank you so much. All right, good. So any answers there? Again, trick question, roughly, without going to the TI website, I don't need the, you might not get it perfect. How many members have joined your area, division, or district so far this year?
40.
40?
Area 3.
Okay.
Division A.
Any other answers?
56, Division A.
56? One more answer.
500 in the district.
Okay. The answer, again, I told you it was a trick question. It's okay if you didn't get it quite right. The answer is 0. Those members did not join your area. They did not join the division. They did not join the district. What did they join?
The club.
Club.
They joined a club, all right? So if we look at the process of a guest becoming a member, they have to first find out, hey, there's going to be a meeting. And then they have to attend the meeting. And these days, that means they're getting a link so they can attend online. Once they attend the meeting, they have to see a quality meeting, something they say, hey, this is pretty good. I'd like to be a part of this. Then somebody has to send them the application, has to help them fill it out. they have to, ask them to join, right? That's the key question. You want to join? They have to be voted in the club, dues collected, and then the application set off to world headquarters. Wouldn't you agree that in general, that's pretty much the process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Processes, you might say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, so answer this. Unless the district leader is a member of that club, what percentage influence did the district have in that entire process?
None.
Zero.
Very little.
Yeah, I don't like to say zero, but very little. Exactly. The reason it's not zero is because the district might have had a workshop on moments of truth and making sure that clubs are having quality meetings. The district would have trained club officers, which Ted, it bothers me to no end that how to fill out a membership application is not even part of the membership, VP membership training. That boggles my mind. But anyway, they would have been trained to do their jobs. But you're on the right track. It's very little, okay? So it's the club that has these responsibilities. Members are joining clubs. Members are leaving clubs. And the same thing applies to membership retention. What can the district do to stop a member from quitting a club?
Talk to them.
But very little, right? It's really the club. There's an issue with the club, or there's just a change in life. Most people that leave Toastmasters, it's not because they had a bad experience. It's because they've had a change in priorities in their life. So the biggest mistake area directors make is when they take the monkey on their back, that it's their job to make their clubs distinguished. Whose job is it for the clubs to be distinguished?
Teamwork.
President and
It's the club's responsibility, right? Now, the district is there to support that. That's the second half of the mission of the district. We're there to support them. We can offer guidance and help. But at the end of the day, it's the club that has to do it. So if you look at the mission of the district, there's two pieces of it. We build new clubs. And again, I think the board got this right when they rewrote it because they put first things first. The headlines in the paper are always the biggest story. You want the most important things first. And they did that properly. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. We don't turn our back on them, but we don't make that our primary focus. And if you look at the two key words, build is active, support is passive, right? So if you want to spend your limited time as a Toastmaster leader, you want to make sure you're spending it on the things that you can directly control, not the things you can't control, right? You're just an influencer. Can districts make clubs distinguished?
No.
Can districts make members get educational awards?
No. No.
So what is the one thing that the district can directly control?
Training.
That's not training's not a critical success factor.
Providing guidelines.
Port.
Giving incentives.
Look at the first part of the mission of the district, guys.
New clubs.
Build new clubs, okay? Build new clubs. All right. Brenda, what is your title?
Club Growth Director.
Club Growth Director. Is it Club Retention Director?
No.
Is it Club Membership Director?
No.
It's Club Growth Director. So where do you think you should be spending your time and energy?
Growing new clubs.
Growing new clubs. And really that's it for the district. I propose it's an 80%, 80-20 proposition. We spend 80% of our time focusing on building new clubs and 20% supporting all of our existing clubs and achieving excellence. Because again, there we are only supporting them. We can't directly control it. Now, let me talk about your goals as a district. A few years ago, I was in Central California in a city called Pismo Beach, which has sand dunes right on the beach. It's a beautiful place. And I was renting an all-terrain vehicle and I was going to be going off into the sand dunes and I'm signing all these disclaimers, signing away all my legal rights. And the gentleman that was doing the paperwork with me, he said, "Do you mind if I give you a piece of advice?" Well, sure, of course, absolutely. He said, don't ride too close to the barbed wire. And I said, well, naturally. He goes, no, no, no. Every year we have people that think they're far enough away from the barbed wire, but at the speed they're going, they hit a rut and they're thrown into the barbed wire. I went, oh, okay. How does this relate to Toastmasters? Distinguished, as we already established, is the minimum standard of success in Toastmasters. But if distinguished is our goal as a club, or as a division, as a district, that is danger territory, because Murphy is very, very active in Toastmasters. Of course, Murphy's law is what can go wrong will go wrong. And if you are only aiming for the minimum, any little thing that goes wrong is going to throw that off. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
So why not, as a club, as a district, aim for the top goal? If you were to aim for Smedley Distinguished and you only, I'm putting that in quotes, only achieve Distinguished, I guarantee that Gerard is not going to get a nasty call from President Peck saying, hey, what the heck happened? You were going for Smedley and you only got Distinguished? No, he will say, congratulations, you were successful. And area directors, when you visit your clubs, I want you to find out what your club's goals are. And they should be aiming for presidents or select, never just aiming for distinguished. And once you have that information, bring it back. And now as a district, we can help the clubs achieve their goals. So late in the year, if you're behind in membership payments, instead of saying, oh, we need 300 member payments, you can say, hey, Club XYZ, you have 18 members, but you need to get back to 20 so that you can be a President's Distinguished Club. And you actually have every point except the membership. So when you get those 2 new members, you're actually going to make that membership goal and you will be a President's Club, Distinguished Club. How can we help you achieve that goal? You've changed the conversation. How can we help you achieve your goal versus what can you do for the district? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It definitely does.
Okay. So to be a President's Distinguished area, you need 50% of your club base number distinguished or better, plus 1 distinguished club, and a net growth of 1 new club. What does net mean?
Allowing for the clubs that have closed up.
Yeah,
Same
so
number, the same number.
If you lose 1, you have to add 2, right? You have to end the year 1 more than your base, all right? So let's talk about being Smedley Distinguished District. How would we do that? Well, we would do it by building 1 new club per area. And ladies and gentlemen, you should know that President Corcoran, as part of his presidential program, had the idea in there of having every area build 1 new club. Right, Ted?
Right.
Yeah. So this is not a new concept. Okay, so how do we do it? We build 1 new club per area and we support existing clubs to be distinguished. Now, the district has 47 areas. And I understand there's currently 1 opening. So I'm going to ask the division director to help with this one. But if we build 1 new club per area, that'd be 47 new clubs. Now, Brenda, let me ask you a very basic question. Do you think it's conceivably possible that we could charter 1 new club per area?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I need you all to be possibility thinkers. I recently gave this presentation to another district and they just said, no, it can't be done. Yes, it can. It can be done. It is absolutely possible, 1 club at a time. But here's the cool thing. If you build 47 new clubs, you could lose 29 clubs and still be Smedley Distinguished. That's the power of this program. And I have had a number of mentees over the years that have worked with me. And a couple years ago, I had one that just really took it to heart. And her name is Regina Rhymes from District 1. I know Ted would know her. And she did this with her team in District 1 in Los Angeles. And the result was she was #1 in the Western Hemisphere, #4 in the world. So this program really does work. All right. You are currently writing the history of the district. For 2019-2020, what was the result for the district? Was the district distinguished?
No.
No. What about 2018-2019?
No.
No, the reason I have 155 there is you fell short by 155 members. You actually met the club goal, but you didn't
That's
meet the membership goal. 155 members short. What was the result in 2017-18?
Not distinguished.
Not distinguished. And again, I'm not saying anything about those leaders those years. They were dealing with their own issues. But the fact of the matter is, for whatever reason, we didn't cross the line. We were not successful as a district. Here's the amazing thing. When you build a new club, you also bring in members, right? So if we bring in 47 new clubs, that's going to be 940 new members. What impact would that have had on the 2018-2019 year?
Distinguished or better.
Yeah, exactly. And why do I have 1880 up there, which is double 940?
Depends on when they were chartered.
Yes, if you guys go out and charter these new clubs before the next dues renewal period, you're going to get 2 member payments for each of those people. And so it's going to count for 1880. That's the power of timing. So I would encourage you to get busy now. And the process I'm going to take you through today, it's from lead to charter. It's only 1 month. It's done that quickly. All right. Does this make sense, guys? Do you understand why this is the #1 focus for the district? It's the thing you directly control. You can't control the clubs being distinguished. You can control building new clubs. Steve, are we getting any questions in chat that I have to address or should address?
I think, Alfred, we've had a few comments about historically the length of time it's taken to charter new clubs. I know in our district, it's taken like 18 months to get a new club chartered. So
okay.
I think a lot of people will be very interested in hearing what you're about to say, and then we'll have a few more.
Need to fix, yeah.
And I think Paul O'Mahony has a question as well, or a comment.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Alfred. I'd like to hear your opinion on the establishment of clubs with dual members. I've recently, with the collaboration of a team, set up a new club called Toastmasters for Golf. This is a niche club, and I have a colleague as well who's very interested in setting up a club called Toastmasters for GAA, that's Gaelic Athletic Association. But the quickest way to establish these clubs in order to help the district reach Smedley Distinguished is to establish them as advanced clubs, because it takes, as has just been said, quite a lot longer time. I would love your opinion and guidance on that strategy.
I think we have to be very careful about advanced clubs. If there's a real need for them, fine, that's absolutely fine. But the reality is, let's just talk, let's be real. A lot of these specialty clubs, as I call them, they get created in June when district directors are getting creative about how can we get to the goal. And when you have dual members and there's a dual dues increase, they end up dropping off. And so I'm not a fan of doing that exclusively, but if there's a real need, if there's a real audience that is very interested in a topic and they happen to already be members in Toastmasters, absolutely. Another example might be a leadership club, where you have a club that is totally dedicated and focused on helping leaders achieve their goals during their term in office. So they're already going to be members of another club, but now here's a specific need where they want to have time and expertise taught to them in a specific area. So in that case, it would make sense to me. But to just say, oh, where can I come up with a club idea? I know, let's get a bunch of dog walkers together and let's see if we can't just form, no, it's like, there has to be a real need there, that there's a natural group that already wants that. We can't be just pushing it upon them. Is that a fair response?
Yeah.
Well, Alfred, just one small point related particularly to the sustainability of Toastmasters for Golf. I think it has a long-term future for 2 reasons. First of all, when golfers go out on a golf course, they need to be able to communicate effectively and in an interesting way with other golfers. They will not hold their own in a 4-ball unless they are able to hold the attention of the other players. But even more important, as leaders, golf clubs need leaders. Golf clubs need committee members. Golf clubs need vice and captains, and national golf associations need members. So last point, golfers are very, very keen to win contests, win prizes. And when you win a prize, you have to make a speech. And speeches are not you can be very good at golf and not very good at speaking.
Right.
So that's why we've set up Toastmasters for Golf. I do think there is a real need, and that's quite different from setting up clubs for, Toastmasters for bottle watchers.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love a key word you said, sustainability. That is so important, that we're building clubs that we're intending to last a long time. Now, you could start, for instance, a corporate club, and next year that corporation could move out of the city or go bankrupt. You can't control that, but the idea is you're doing it with the idea of building a sustainable club. So you're spot on. I love that. And it sounds like that group, based on what you're saying, is absolutely a viable lead. Steve?
Okay, and Alfred, thank you for that. We have another question. I don't know whether you're going to come on to this later, but what are your thoughts on using speechcraft as a way of building clubs?
I do a speechcraft, which is really intended for low membership clubs. The way I do speechcraft, you instantly get a dozen new members into the club. And past international director Greg Scott did use my technique to charter a new club. Personally, I'm not recommending that approach, but it can be done. And if you'd like me to do a separate workshop on my speechcraft, I'll be happy to do so.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on. And thank you so much for the questions. I love this. I want it to be interactive. This is not about Alfred talking to himself. All right. So again, the mission of the district is we build new clubs. That's the first thing. That's the number one focus for the district. And then the second piece, supporting all clubs and achieving excellence. And since Brenda is focusing on building new clubs, which of the member of the top three handles the second half of the mission, do you think? Daniel?
Yeah.
Our program quality director, that falls to you. All right. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's about right.
All right, good. Well, why should we even build new clubs? I'm very big on the why, why should we even do this? If we don't understand the why, the how is not going to matter. So why should we build new clubs?
Because we have to spread the word of Toastmasters being such a fantastic organization for self-development, for improvement. Yeah. We don't want to keep it all to ourselves.
Beautiful. I love that, Ted. Anybody else?
I think it also gives people leadership opportunities. The more clubs there are, the more community roles there are.
Anybody else?
To make good accidents.
Pardon?
To make good accidents.
Make good accidents. Can you clarify that?
Well, in some corporate clubs, they close through circumstances way beyond anyone's control.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So the thing is, and all of those answers are fine. I wasn't looking for a specific answer, but if you think also about what you have gained through Toastmasters, I mean, I was mentioned in my introduction, I am so grateful to Beverly Andrews because she chartered 2 company clubs at the company I work when she did her meeting. And by the way, I like to call them launch meetings versus demonstration meetings. I learned this from District 5 in San Diego. They said, we want to make it clear when we're there, we're not there just to demonstrate Toastmasters. We're there to launch a club. So they call it a launch meeting because they make their purpose specific. So anyway, when Beverly had her launch meeting, she had over 40 people that wanted to join Toastmasters. So she just divided the room and there were 2 clubs that were formed. I ended up joining one of those clubs. I was not a charter member, but that club, when I came to work, and I was in my 20s, so you look at this gray hair, you know how long I've been a member. I wasn't looking for any extracurricular activities. Yeah, thank you, Ted. But if you think about it, it was there. It was at lunchtime. I was already at the office. I needed lunch. So when a colleague invited me to visit the club, and I said, sure, it was convenient. Knowing what I know now, I would drive 50 miles in an evening to attend a meeting because it so changed my life. but our non-members don't know that, so it needs to be convenient. So having that club right there allowed me to gain those benefits that I never would have had. And to be honest, had I not joined that company club, I'm not sure I ever would have joined Toastmasters. I'm not sure where our paths would have crossed again. So I am so grateful. So by chartering a new club, you are allowing other people to have the gift of Toastmasters that you have received. Also, just like every club should be constantly bringing new members, every club should be bringing in one new member a month, roughly. If you're not building, you're dying. And the same applies to the district. If the district is not building and bringing in new clubs, the district is dying, because clubs will die on their own through attrition. It's normal. The district can't control it. When those two clubs I mentioned at our corporate headquarters, when our corporate headquarters was shut down and we moved from downtown Los Angeles into what now into Founders District, the district lost two clubs. There's not a thing they could have done about it. They're gone. Okay. So by building new clubs, now you can replace that. And if the district isn't building new clubs, who will? I mean, there'll be the occasional person that will build one or two clubs, but that's not enough to replace the ones that are being disappearing. And certainly you're not going to get 47 on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does this make sense, guys?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So now we get into the meat of it. Because again, I spent a lot of time on the why, because if you don't understand the why, the rest doesn't matter, okay? So the steps to charter, it first starts with the lead. And we're gonna go through all of these in more depth, but we also need a sponsor and mentor. We're gonna make an initial contact with the key person at that lead. We're gonna have a pre-meeting with that person, and these days that very well may be online. And then we're going to have them do publicity for the launch meeting. We're going to conduct the launch meeting, and then we're going to get the paperwork completed and sent in. And on the paperwork, let's just get this clear right off the bat. Brenda, do we have experts in the district that can help with the paperwork if the sponsor has no idea how to fill out the forms?
Yes, we do, Alfred.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Now, area directors, here's what I want you to do, please. I want you to ensure that a new club gets chartered in your area during your term, but we're not asking you to personally charter the club. Let me say that again. I want you to own the goal of getting a club chartered in your area, but we're not asking you to personally charter the club. We want you to provide a lead to the district and be thinking right now. I want Gerard afterwards to follow up with you on a date by which you would give a lead to the district. And then when you're visiting your clubs, you can see who would be a good sponsor and mentor in those clubs. So you just provide those three elements and the district will take it from there. Now, if you want to be a part of the launch meeting, absolutely, you're welcome to be a participant. Depending on the individual, I would even say it'd be okay for them to help be the sponsor of a new club if they chose to. I would not recommend an area director be the mentor for a new club. I think that's taking on too much, but it's really the lead sponsor mentor, okay? Now, where can leads come from? Leads can come from anywhere. They can come from world headquarters. You could ask current members, hey, have you ever thought about where else we might have another Toastmasters club? You could talk to your neighbors or your coworkers. You could also, we have these things in olden days. They were on paper and they had cities and roads between them. They were called maps, okay? and if you got a map, you could actually put dots where the existing clubs are, and you may see a whole community that is missing right off the bat. So there's a community right there that's missing. And so that could be an opportunity. You can also target communities over 10,000 people. And I don't know if that's the same in the UK as it in Ireland as it is in the US, but McDonald's does our research for us here because they build a McDonald's franchise for every 10,000 people. So you can look for that. And corporations over 150 people, that's just a guideline. And we mostly like white collar employees in that 150 because that's more of our target market. Not that the line workers who couldn't be Toastmasters, but typically that's not part of what they see themselves as their professional development. You can look at community centers, libraries. When I visited a club in Toronto a few years ago, they were meeting in a public room within the local library. Churches can be a great opportunity. The Crystal Cathedral in Orange County at one point, they had 4 clubs within the church, schools and institutions. And again, corporations over 150 people. You can get a list of companies. Go to the Chamber of Commerce. In the US, we have a tool called Reference USA. I don't know if you have something similar over there, but you can sort it online and get the list of companies in your community that have over 150 people. And again, targeting communities over 10,000. So if you really think about it, there really are so many opportunities around there. The other thing is you can also look at time diversity, okay? If you have a club, and again, we're talking post-COVID, nobody's meeting in restaurants right now, but if you had a breakfast club that met in a local restaurant, you could have another club in that exact same restaurant that met in the evening. And those 2 clubs would not compete with each other because the people that are available in the morning are not available in the evening and vice versa. So you can look at time diversity for existing locations as well. Any questions on what I've just said?
So Alfred, I have one question that came through was actually around the sponsors and mentors, particularly around mentors. In your view, do you think mentors should be serving for longer than 6 months, or is 6 months the right length of time to
I
properly
prefer
establish a club?
longer, and we are going to talk about that later. We are going to get in that. And Liz, thank you. I see it. Thank you. All right. So
Alfred, sorry, can I ask you a question which is a little outside of what you're actually talking about right now? But did you ever win a contest, a speech contest, or an evaluation contest, or a topics contest?
I am the District 52 evaluation contest champion.
That answers my question, yes.
I entered the humorous speech, and I won area, didn't win division, but hey, that was the judges. They didn't like my
Well,
humor.
I won the division in the humorous speech, so I have one up on you there.
There you go. All right. So getting back to this, I honestly believe that with 2 hours of effort, you would have a lead. And I'm not talking about 2 hours all at once, but 10 minutes with your area council meeting, 5 minutes talking to a fellow Toastmaster, you know, here and there. Just, I know when I was a young Toastmaster, the VP Education would schedule me to speak at the next meeting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And the subconscious starts to chew on this. And sure enough, a couple of days later, typically in the shower, an idea would come to me. I think this is going to be the same thing. Once you know area directors that we would like you to come up with a lead, and those of you that are not even district leaders, God bless you. It's so great to have you joining us as well. But if you think about this, where can I come up with a lead? Then it's going to come to you. And what we want for the lead is we want the name of the organization or the location, and then the key contact within that organization. We really want to start at the top if at all possible. Let's say it's a local manufacturing plant. Well, at the president of the company may be at the corporate headquarters, but who's the top person at that manufacturing plant? And then ideally we want a phone number for that person. To the lesser of value would be an email. It's always better if we can have a phone conversation. And again, assistance is available to you from your area council, from other Toastmasters, area directors. You can ask your division director to help you. And there's a whole marketing team within the district that can help you as well. So don't feel like you're alone in this effort. But again, these are the 3 pieces we want from you. So let's talk about club sponsor. What's the job of the club sponsor? This is the interactive part, guys.
to help the club get to 20 members and get its club offices in place.
To get the club chartered. If you get the club chartered, that's the job of the club sponsor. And so you're gonna, if they are a newer Toastmaster and they don't have the background and the confidence to contact the new lead, we might have somebody in the district team do that. But they would help reach out with that lead. They would serve as the TI contact for the launch meeting. They would recruit the launch meeting and then help conduct the launch meeting. And then afterwards, make sure they elect the club officers, submit all the paperwork, and then have a celebration, a charter presentation meeting, invite the district director, if that person's not available, the club growth or division director, but have a celebrity, have a dignitary there to help that. And that's your job. Club mentor is your job is to set the club on the right course. And for me, Daniel, if you were to do a training on club mentors and club coach, for me, the skills are very similar. The difference is a club mentor is helping establish a new culture, and a club coach may be helping to correct some existing problems with the club culture. But you're supposed to guide the club for the first 6 to 12 months. You're right, TI says 6 months. I always recommend a minimum of 12 months. Ensure the club officers understand their duties. You familiarize the officers with the educational program, which of course is Pathways, and the Distinguished Club program. And then we also talk about the Toastmaster standards. Those standards are things like meetings start and end on time, right? That's a standard of excellence in Toastmasters. And in my clubs, we have a standard of excellence as far as table topics. We don't have time to let everybody in the club answer table topics. So we ask the question first, and then we pick somebody to answer. And that forces everybody to go through the mental exercise. And in our evaluations, we make sure that we personalize our language. I felt, I saw, I thought. So that's your job as the mentor, is to educate the club on those Toastmasters standards, the unwritten rules. And then to help recruit and retain members. The biggest mistake new clubs make is they think, oh, we have our 20, we're done. No, that's just the beginning. Now the sponsor could also be a club mentor, and you can have 2 sponsors, you can have 2 mentors. Personally, I don't like to have more than 1 mentor working with me, because, you know, Alfred has his way of doing things. And if you have 2 people, you have 2 opinions. And if they disagree with me, I'm sorry, they're wrong. All right, so the steps to charter. Once we have the lead, here's the timeline. It's a month from the lead to sponsor. Okay, so we get the lead tomorrow. Within the first week, we're going to contact the lead, the top person, and we're going to ask them this golden, or going to tell them this golden sentence. I'd like to have a short meeting with you to discuss the benefits of having a Toastmasters program in your organization. What if the person says, I'm not really interested? What do we say? Sean, you need
Okay,
to...
thanks. No problem. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, something like that.
Yep. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. Hope you have a great day. Fun. Next. And then you say to yourself, they're an idiot. Why? You don't say that to them, but you say it to yourself. They're an idiot. Why? Because we said a short meeting. We don't want an hour of their time. They're very busy people. We get that. But why wouldn't they be open to at least having a short meeting to hear about the benefits of how it could help their organization?
But Alfred, you'd say to them, look, there are huge benefits for Toastmasters. You'd need to hear them if you're a leader.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I wouldn't move on immediately.
Well, again, that's up to you, but I'm just saying next, because in my process, if you don't have management buy-in, you're done. Okay. You need to get the manager. They at least have to be open to it. All right. So you want them to get you in the pre-meeting, you're going to get their buy-in, and you're going to discuss the benefits. What's in it for the organization? You set a date for the launch meeting, no more than 2 weeks out. Why? If I tell you right now, well, we're going to do a launch meeting, let's see, on March 15th, you're going to think, oh, that's so far out. You know, I'll get it on my calendar eventually. But if we say it's February 7th, oh, that's coming right up. You're never going to have a perfect date. There's always going to be people that can't make it. So just give it enough time, at least a week, where they can do the publicity for you. Okay. And I always require 30 people at a launch meeting. Why?
Because they all won't show up.
Why do I need 30 people at a launch meeting? No, I need a minimum of 30 people at that launch meeting.
Not everyone will be.
40% of them won't join.
Okay. Because we need 20 to join, right?
Mm.
And how many meetings do I take to launch a club?
20.
One.
One.
One club meeting, okay? So if I have 30 people there, what do you think the chances of getting 20 to say yes are?
80 plus.
Yeah, that's pretty likely, right? And then you ask them for a statement of quote for support. Now, whenever I've asked the executives for this, whenever they hesitate, I ask, we'll be happy to draft you something for that. they always say yes with that thing. And then you also have to figure out what the dues are going to look like. All right, you discuss the benefits. How have you ever been to a business meeting that didn't start or end on time? Oh yeah, threw my entire day off. Have you ever had anybody speak to you and you could tell they knew what they were talking about, but they weren't getting to the point. They weren't conveying the information. Toastmasters can help you. Do you want a performance appraisal tool for your management team that will also motivate your employees to stay the good ones? Yes, okay. So these are the things that you can talk about that. And I always talk about Toastmasters is going to help improve the communication skills for your employees as they talk with your management team, their peers, and most importantly, your customers. So you get their buy-in. Again, the launch team is no more than 2 weeks out. We have 30 people there. Now, employees are busy. They're not looking for anything extra to do in their life, right? Some of them are working through lunch. So we need a statement of support from the big boss. Here's the statement of support. And Gerard, I'm going to email this presentation so you can share that with everybody here today. I'm happy to do that. The skills you learn in Toastmasters will help you in your personal life and your career here at XYZ Corporation. I encourage you to check it out. The big boss. All right. Is the charter fee going to be paid by the organization? You need to know that going in. If they are not, then you need to add that to the member cost. I always recommend, even if the company is paying, that members pay at least $1 a month, something, so they have some skin in the game. If the company is paying everything, they're not going to be vested in the program. You need to know the cost when you go to the launch meeting. And your launch team, as I mentioned in my introduction, I was a one-person launch team. And so you don't need to have a big group. I don't recommend doing it with one, but it can be done. But you need a Toastmaster. You also need somebody who's going to be the closer at the end of the launch meeting. Say, who's ready to join, right? You need a table topics master, a speaker. Do you ask the past world champion of public speaking to be a test speaker at your launch meeting?
No.
No, why not?
You'd scare everybody away.
Yeah, they're like, I can't relate to that person. They're too good. And so you want somebody that's started the program, 2 or 3 speeches, and the topic of the speech should be the skill, the benefits I'm already gaining from Toastmasters. That's the topic you want them to speak on. And the evaluator, do you want to have Mr. Nitpicker that gives 15 reasons this person wasn't doing a very good job in their speech?
No.
You want somebody that personalizes their language and gives 1 or 2 points for improvement. You don't need a general evaluator. You don't need a grammarian, joke man, all those other dudes. You don't need them. You want to have a short 30-minute demonstration of what Toastmasters is, and then leave the second half hour, because the launch meeting should be no more than an hour. The second half hour is answering questions and filling out paperwork. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And it's so important at the end of the launch meeting to say, who's ready to join? I heard of a launch meeting that was done. They had 100 people at a very high level corporation at the meeting, and nobody at the end asked who's ready to join. They got 0 people to sign up from 100. I was so disappointed, disgusted with that. And then afterwards, you're going to come up with all the details. Now, this is a key point on the dues. Make sure you add the prorated portion to the dues that are collected. And I do this with new members too. I'd rather have them pay, I'm going to talk US dollars. I'd rather have them pay $150 when they first start. And then when the dues renewal comes up, they find out it's only 70. They're like, oh, this is a bargain. It's psychological. But if you have them pay $80 and then you come back a couple months later and you want another 50, they're going to go, what's the deal here? You just got all this money from me. All right. So again, the paperwork can be done. So this process, because you get the lead, the next week you contact the person, you schedule it for 2 weeks out, that's the month. And since we launch in 1 meeting, you're done. Now, I hear these horror stories, and I believe they are horror stories of clubs that take months and months and months to launch. And I had a mentee who was a club growth director a few years ago. And she said, Alfred, I got this lead from last year and I'm working with them, and I just can't get them across the line. I said, you need to give them a deadline. Give them 2 meetings. Don't make it so sharp that it's the next meeting. But if you don't get 20 members by that deadline, we're going to pull the plug. And she goes, Alfred, that just sounds so cruel. Pull the plug. I said, well, think about it. Let's say you happen to manage to get them across the line. They're probably going to survive one more year. Guess who's going to be district director the year they decide to turn in their charter? So if you can't find 20 excited people when the idea is fresh, in my opinion, you're creating future problems for the district. And so, fellow Toastmasters, I know that was high speed, but we spent a lot of time up front talking about the why. The why is so important. You can't control members joining or leaving clubs. You can't control your clubs getting educational awards. You can't control your clubs being distinguished. There's only one thing you can directly control. That's building new clubs. And if you focus on the first part of the mission, by building new clubs, you're also bringing in members. And by building one new club per area, which is absolutely possible, you have 5 months to go. This only takes a month to happen. You have plenty of time. You can make it happen, and all of you can be members of a Smedley Distinguished District. Mr. District Director.
Thank you very much indeed, Alfred. That was absolutely wonderful. Steve, do you have any questions remaining? We could give maybe 2 minutes for questions if that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think one question that we have got, thank you, Gerard, for Alfred, is to what extent do you think COVID is affecting the starting of new clubs?
It's definitely affecting clubs. You know, let's not be stupid about this and ignore the problem. And so when you approach organizations about starting a club, some companies are going to say, hey, right now we're not even meeting in one spot and the timing is not right. But yes, I very much am interested. Okay, we take that name down, we stay in contact with them, and we do that. But I will also tell you that obviously, you know, COVID is a worldwide phenomenon. And there are districts in the world that have chartered 10 plus clubs already in the first half of the year. They understand the importance of building new clubs. They have found the market and they have done it because organizations need this. And for companies that are meeting online, actually the Zoom skills we learn in our Toastmaster meetings help them be effective in their company environment as well. So yeah, I don't want to minimize the impact of COVID. It's a real thing. But again, there are companies that are ready and willing right now to get started. And those of us that know, because we've been in long enough, we know that the online experience is nowhere near as good as it is in person. And so when those groups do get back in person, they're going to see even more growth amongst their members. So it's a very exciting proposition.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters of District 71, unmute yourself and put your hands together to give Alfred a great warm thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I'd like to hand over to Ted Corcoran, Distinguished Toastmaster and past International President, to say a message of appreciation. Over to you, Ted.
Thank you, District Director Gerard, and thank you, Alfred. I want to remind everybody about a little turn you did for me. I was chairing the Educational Committee in 2003. We were revamping the old Competent Toastmaster Manual, which became the Competent Communicator Manual. And we were stuck for a title for number 4, which was word usage. And I remember you came into the room and you said, the obvious title is Get to the Point. And you actually mentioned it tonight as part of your presentation. That's what reminded me. Get to the point. So important in every presentation. Look, I enjoyed everything you said because I agree with all of it. My experience with districts around the world is that they're very, very, very busy with all sorts of activities, but not with club building. They're waiting for the clubs to happen rather than making them to happen. And you absolutely set it out word for word how clubs can and should be built. It's a team effort. And as Tony Robbins famously said, where the focus goes, the energy flows. And that's what it is. It's about focus and everybody on board and aiming for the top. So that was excellent. I liked your comments about contests, because here in this district, 71, we have 12 divisions. which means at the district conference, we have to have 8 semi-finals and then 4 finals, which means that we have to run 12 contests in one weekend, which is an enormous burden on everybody, a huge burden. And there is no doubt in my long experience that when September comes, all the focus of everybody is running the club contest, the area contest, the division contest. I don't know what the answer is, because people like contests apparently, but that's what happens. Back when you were the international president in 2001, 2002, the organization had about 170,000 members in 8,000 clubs. And here we are now 20 years later, and it's doubled. And it's doubled because of the initiative taken in your year to update the computer system, which was practically zero at the time, and investing $2 million plus in it, transformed in 20 years what we couldn't do in 80 years, from 170, which is now about 340 roughly, 8,000 clubs, roughly 16,000, which is just an incredible improvement in 20 short years compared to the previous 80. Okay, it's not quite 100 yet. I thought that was a real executive decision that paid off, and you were the president at that year and made it happen. I like to congratulate and point out to you that our District 71 has a huge achievement record in the Distinguished Club Programme. It hovers around 70% a year. Last year it was 69, and that's the first year it fell below 70 for a number of years. We're usually in the middle 70s. Now, as everybody knows, the world average is 50%. So we have a very high record of Distinguished Club Programme, very high record. As Margaret Page says, who is going to be our international president this August, DCP also stands for Documented Changes in People, DCP. And if people thought about it like that, then it's not point scoring, it's the aggregate of what people learn in our clubs. So we have a proud record of being distinguished until recently, and there's no doubt that we can get back to that again by focusing just where you say on the important parts, because you were clever to point out that if you have more clubs, you have more members, you have more payments, and that is what means success, because we will not have a problem in getting 40% of distinguished clubs when our figure is at about 70%. So where the focus goes, the energy flows. Thank you so much, Alfred, for giving your time and your experience to our district. Back to you, District Director Jared.
Thank you very much indeed, Ted. Can we show our appreciations by our hand, Bula Boss to Ted? Thank you, Ted. You're one of our own. You're always fantastic. Thank you. So now it's for me to close the meeting, and as such, my expression of thanks cannot be actually measured in what I want to say to Alfred. But I suppose there are some times where we have regrets in life. I wish I got to know you around mid-July or mid-August or something like that, which would have started out your year. This time last year, I was organizing the team actually that would work together for this year. But as such, I suppose it's better late than never. Even this year, what I will describe as success, if we lay down plans into the future, what a benefit that will be to our successors. Anyway, my policy is that we're not going to stop here. It's a vision. The first step that I will do is organize that our district leadership team shall be together. Then when we produce a white paper on that, we shall get all our deck together and then pass that word to the general membership. Alfred, again, keep well, keep safe in this world of turmoil at the moment. We thank you for your time. And also we appreciate your suggestion that if anybody is interested in speechcraft, you're available and happy to facilitate us. So without doubt, thank you all very much for attending, all the DEC members, the other members of Toastmasters outside of DEC. I wish to thank the Zoom team. The Zoom team are mighty altogether. They do always an incredible good job. And also I would like to pay a thanks to Steve Campion for interacting in the speeches or interacting in the questions and bringing them in such a comfortable fashion to Alfred. So it's just on the hour, keeping punctual, as Alfred said. I wish you all good night from here, and thank you very much, everybody.